This video has been brought to you by Tees for Tims. Remember, if you're looking for some really good quality Celtic merch at this delicate time where you might not want to put money into the club, then choose the independent retailers like Tees for Tims. There is some fantastic designs available all across the website, like this one I am wearing now, amongst many others. If you're looking for gifts this Christmas time, anything at all, check out Tees for Tims and you will find so many there. Use code Ryan118 for a 10% discount at checkout. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and I really do wish that I was sitting here on top of the world following last night's win in the Europa League. However, in typical Celtic fashion, when something goes good, something else needs to go bad. And not just bad, but absolutely terrible, because we have huge news coming out this afternoon directly from Brendan Rodgers himself in relation to Cameron Carter-Vickers and the injury issues that are plaguing this Celtic side. We're looking at a 5-month injury for Cameron Carter-Vickers. 5 months. Let's talk about that. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. We are coming to the end of a busy October and we still have a lot to talk about. So if you want to stay up to date, coming up to the next few games and coming into a busy festive season, then go down below, hit all those buttons. It's absolutely free. Let's touch on last night very briefly and then get into the sad, devastating and horrible news that is constantly bringing Celtic fans down. The injuries. So Celtic got their first win of this Europa League campaign last night against Sturm Graz. 2-1 was the final score at Celtic Park after goals from Liam Scales and Benjamin Nygren. It was on track to being another nervy affair for Celtic, but I thought that we navigated the tie well, the game well, and we got what we deserved. I mean, let's just cut to the chase here. I think Celtic deserved the win last night, and I think there were still flaws in the performances, and there's still problems there that we need to go over, but 3 points is 3 points. A win's a win. And we have brought ourselves a little bit higher up in that league table. If you look at the table, Celtic are now 21st, which means we are in that top 24 as things stand, with 1 win, 1 draw and 1 loss. 4 points out of 9. It could have been better. It should have been better to start off. But honestly, I'm just glad we won. And I'm glad that we've got something to be optimistic about for the remainder of this Europa League campaign. However, what comes next might surprise you, because of course Celtic in 2 weeks' time head to Denmark to take on Midtjylland, who currently find themselves top of the Europa League. That's right, after matchday 3, Midtjylland are top of the Europa League with 3 wins out of 3, 8 goals scored, only 2 conceded, which means they are top by a goal, and of course with that 9 out of 9 points. I mean, when the draw was done, never in a million years would I expected Celtic to be heading to Denmark to take on a top-of-the-table Midtjylland, but it's the situation we find ourselves in, and listen, the way that we're playing right now, we aren't all that great, so every game is a difficult one, but it's even more difficult now that Midtjylland are flying. It's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, but a win last night, a lot to be positive about in regards to that. And hopefully we can keep moving forward and keep ourselves in that top 24, which right now it feels like the expectation. Even though when it started I wanted us to be in top 8 side, Christ, I wanted us to be where Midtjylland are right now after the first 3 match days, to be quite honest. But with the injury problems, with the lack of squad depth, with just the general feeling that's been around the club, honestly, top 24 will do. And I mean, it could be worse. You could be 36th. You could be rock bottom, below all 35 other teams in the competition. Imagine being that bad. I mean, who could even be bothered? How could you be that bad? I don't know. Questions have to be asked. And following the game last night, Brendan Rodgers was full of praise for his Celtic side, especially ahead of a very tough trip this weekend to Tynecastle against top of the league Hearts. He did keep the car comparisons up. Now we're a Range Rover Sport, I believe, which is certainly an upgrade on the last analogy, but we're not quite a Ferrari yet. Brendan Rodgers, though, happy with what he's seen and feeling good about going to Tynecastle this weekend, saying that we're in a much better place. These were his exact comments following the game last night, that clearly it's a big game coming up, but I always tend to say that these are big games. People talk about pressure games, big games, but every time you play for Celtic, it's a big game. Going to Tynecastle, whatever time of the season, is always a tough game. but we arrive there in a much better place. This group doesn't find itself as the chaser very often, not so early on in the season. Thankfully, as I said, it's a long season. Hearts have started well, and they're doing the basics of the game well. They've got a good manager in Derek, who knows his way around Scottish football and gets his teams well organised and well prepared. There's no challenging phases, as we just need to be better within ourselves. So, a much better place, Brendan Rodgers calls it after last night. And I think that's just touching on the fact that we've now given ourselves the basis to build off something. You know, we've gave ourselves a starting point in terms of bringing momentum into the team and trying to go from there. It's certainly a much better place to be going into the game on Sunday than it was beforehand, because if you're heading to Tynecastle after losing at Dens Park to Dundee, not very good. But if you can suddenly get a big win, and we did get a big win, it changes the narrative of the kind of challenge ahead of you. So yeah, listen, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough on Sunday, and it's especially going to be tough when you consider the injury crisis we find ourselves in, because that's exactly what Celtic are facing, an injury crisis. I don't want to exaggerate, I don't want to make things out to be bigger than what they are, but the squad is already thin enough, and it's getting thinner. After last night, it's not looking good. Players, they're dropping like flies, and we are now missing more first team players than I can remember for a long time. It almost feels similar to when Ange first came to the club. And you remember Ange's kind of first few months in charge, from August through to like December, we were just plagued with injuries. We were relying on lads coming up from the B team, we were relying on players being shoehorned into different positions. It just felt like we had no luck, and first team players were just being constantly ripped away from Ange Postecoglou. It almost feels like that's happening again with Brendan Rodgers this season. We already knew the list was pretty bad, and it's getting worse. And the big one is the one that happened right at the end of last night's game. Literally, the last action of last night's game saw an injury for Cameron Carter-Vickers, and it's not good. Cameron Carter-Vickers could be out of action for the next 3 to 5 months. Yep, 3 to 5 months. Brendan Rodgers confirmed that this afternoon to Sky Sports. Here was the quotes. One that we haven't mentioned is Cameron Carter-Vickers. It looks like he's done his Achilles, which could be anywhere between 3 and 5 months. So we just await confirmation of that. It's not great news, but we'll see where that one goes. He then went on, obviously, to talk about the importance of Cameron Carter-Vickers, but the bottom line is, an Achilles injury, not good. Not good in any sport, not good in any aspect of life. It's going to keep Vickers out for quite a while. And that's a huge miss. Listen, I know he's not had a great season. He's not been unbelievable by any stretch. He's not been the same standards that he set himself. I think he's had games where he's been really good, and he's had games where he's been poor. But you don't want to be missing him. You don't want to be another man down. And this is really, really concerning. It is. It's just so frustrating, because it was literally the last action of the game in which it happens. I know these things can't be helped. If it didn't happen last night, it might have happened at another point, God knows. But it just makes you feel like if there was 1 minute less added to the game, we might have avoided this catastrophe. But no point in looking at things like that. He's out. We await for the final confirmation of what the next steps are and how long it actually will be. Who knows? It might be on the less severe end. But we're looking at Cameron Carter-Vickers being out for until as late as March. You know, that's going to be a big opportunity now for Dane Murray to step in till at least January. We might even see Simpson Pusey come in till at least January. And then we evaluate from there if we want to sign somebody else, if we want to bring in an emergency loanee, if we want to, you know, just look at other options. I don't know, but it's a big headache for us to have now, especially with these games coming up. Tynecastle, the Europa League games, Rangers in the Cup semi-final, a League Cup final potentially there if you beat Rangers. Not having Vickers and then being another man down just isn't great. And it's bringing up a crisis for Celtic, because he's not the only one. And it's just really, really worrying. And you know me, I love Vickers, so I'm just gutted to miss him for any length of time. Never mind fucking 5 months. Because Rodgers also confirmed that both Iheanacho and Alistair Johnson suffered hamstring injuries last night, hence why they went off early in the game. He said to TNT following the game that the first two don't look great. It looks like hamstrings. But okay, that's what happens. So, you know, you're suddenly another man down in the defence. Alistair Johnson, who was only back for about, 15-20 minutes last night, gone again. Iheanacho, who's became your first choice striker, now also out. Just so many headaches for Celtic, and we're running on fumes, it feels like, at this point when it comes to match fitness and players that are available. Not great at all, and the list just keeps growing. It's truly just painful to read these headlines, to see these articles popping up and these quotes in the media popping up about who's injured now. Yeah, I am worried. I'm not going to lie. Listen, I believe that we still have a team that's good enough to go and do what we should be doing as a bare minimum. But, you know, you're only another 1 or 2 more injuries away from being, you know, just having nobody there. And that's not good. So, courtesy of Everything Celtic on Twitter, who laid it out for us here, here's the full extent of Celtic's injuries right now. Jota still out with a cruciate ligament injury, which can obviously keep him out for as late as February. Hopefully back sooner than that, but that's, you know, the worst case scenario. Cameron Carter-Vickers now out for 5 months. Maeda, Iheanacho, Johnston all suffering hamstring injuries with unknown return dates. That's obviously 2 of your attacking 3, 1 of your starting back 4. And then remember, when it comes up to AFCON in January, we'll be missing Sebastian Tenekte. We'll probably be missing Michelangelo Balikwisha. This squad is thinning, and it is thinning faster than the hair on my head. Really, really concerning stuff. And a lot of this poor squad management and planning comes back into it, but also just a huge amount of just being unlucky. Yeah, it's not great. As I said, it feels like we're running on fumes, and things are only going to get worse, it feels like. Just to make it clear, I am recording this before the quotes of Brendan Rodgers' press conference are published. He may give an update on Maeda, Iheanacho and Johnston and when to expect them back. But as of right now, as I talk to you, as I record this video, I don't have that yet. I hope the likes of Maeda is back for the weekend. I hope the likes of Iheanacho and Johnston are minor and they're back sooner rather than later. But as far as I'm aware, it's not looking great. Which means I think that the Celtic best 11 right now is looking a bit like this. And as I said, not a terrible team by any stretch of the imagination, but you're just a couple of more injuries away from it being an absolute disaster. I think this is a team that is capable of winning most of its games domestically anyway. And I know that we're all feeling a bit downbeat and a little bit negative right now, but it's still a good side. Not a great side by any stretch, but it's fine. I just worry. I just really do worry. I mean, you suddenly have Murray drop off injured. You're gubbed. You suddenly have Kenny drop off injured. You know, you've got Yamada coming in to get a chance, but you're down to your last options attacking wise. Yeah, it's not great, but this right now is probably what the best 11 is for Celtic in the eyes of Brendan Rodgers and the majority of fans. This is probably it right now. Not great, but not terrible. Right, so that does it for today. A lot of negatives, sadly. Just as you think you're going to start getting positive again, you're brought right down to earth. I'm fed up with it, to be quite honest. If you've enjoyed, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Let me know your opinions and thoughts in the comments below. Enjoy your Friday night. I'll see you over the weekend. Take care.